the world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is May 18th, 2020, episode 198, and this week, problem, reaction, robots. And my name's Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to another live stream episode. Recording live, too. Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel, Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, D-Live channel, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter. And we're here. Once again.
We're here and we're doing it. And don't forget, everybody, if you miss, a lot of people tune in a little late to the live stream and they're so sad. And we're so sad for you. But remember, we've got, we've been doing this a long time. If you miss an episode, YouTube, if they censor the episode, take it down, demonetize, whatever it is. You can find all the episodes and years and years and years worth of episodes by searching your podcast player of choice for Canary Cry Radio and Canary Cry News Talk. Two separate shows, both part of a balanced diet.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. Very cool.
So how you doing today, Gonz? You made it through the weekend.
I did. I feel the same way as some Twitch people in there saying that your eyes look beautiful today, Basil, on the day of this apocalypse.
Thank you so much. I got a good night's sleep last night, so I'm looking bright and engaged, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as my dad and many people's dads would say. I want to say a big ol' hello to people in the chat, specifically over on Twitch. We got Jeff Bezos RFID chips in stock. I see in there. We got Flippy Official. What in the hillbilly heck? All sorts of good Twitch folks over there. Thanks for tuning in. And over on, over on YouTube, who we got over there? Oh, Six String Commandos on Twitch too. We got, I'm not recognizing anybody in YouTube, but I'm sure there's some old timers in there.
Placebo Rock. Yeah, comedy show. What is this bleep? So yeah, we're not a comedy show, but we're just, as we mentioned in a couple, last episode, maybe the episode before that, there's plenty of serious channels out there. We're obviously serious about what we talk about, but you can do a few things. You can get really mad and angry, and throw things around, or you can cry. That's another option, and mourn, or you can laugh about all this crazy nonsense going on. And, there's a time for everything. And if you don't feel it's a time for laughter, you can go elsewhere. But we're both serious and, we make fun of the things that I think deserve to be made fun of. So
I think you're putting, you're putting a lot of thought into this, Gonz, and that's very good. Trying to make people feel better. Fact of the matter is, if you want to be terrified and scared and have somebody who's super intense, there's plenty of shows for you. Not that we don't want you, but we also, we want you to be happy. You can just do whatever you want. But thanks everybody for being here now. I'm going to head over to Facebook and start the watch party on the Canary Cry community so people can join me there. And Gonz,
yes.
we've had to skip a few Flippy updates because the progression of robotics was not keeping up with our ability to report on it. But
right.
There's some things to talk about today. So let's hit it with a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. And for those who don't know, Flippy is the colloquial name we have for the beautiful disembodied arm that is taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. Flippy, generally in the robotics realm, is what we talk about during the Flippy update, but also how robots are kind of sneaking into our lives, solving problems we didn't even know we had, and being used as a gateway for, increased increased control, and generally quite a drastic change in life. Now, Gons, in the past, we're always talking about Japan. You know, Japan, they're always putting robots to work over there. Japan and China, but, you know, Japan, we had the cafe that was staffed by robots being controlled by people at home with VR goggles, that sorts of things. But it's not just Japan anymore. It's not just Asia kind of on the robot swing. Today I'm going to be reading from timeout.com. And here we go. We got a bunch of UK listeners, so this is for you guys. This London cafe has bought a fleet of tea-serving robots for after lockdown. Yeah. The article reads, so you want to keep having afternoon tea, eh? Insist on sipping out of little china cups and tucking into inconveniently small sandwiches, even in the new normal? The new normal. Well, sure, you can, but only if you're up for being served by robots. London cafe chain Tea Terrace is planning to staff its venues with tea-serving robots post-lockdown. There's 7 humanoids on staff now, including one called Theresa Maybot. Very funny.
That's funny.
After the former PM. She goes around saying, breakfast means breakfast. A truly restful and not at all triggering vibe in these uncertain times. The robots each cost 9,000, 15,000 pounds and were purchased as a gimmick before lockdown. Now, though, they've found purpose in their previously meaningless robot lives, easing customers' anxiety about being too near other people and helping the restaurant stick to social distancing guidelines. The plan is to send the bot squad out with food and to collect plates so that diners have less interaction with servers. A true coming together of man and machine. Eee, dun, dun, dun.
Wonderful.
So it's starting to spread, man. The flippy virus. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
The flippy virus starting over there. I don't think it's, I don't know. Not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but all sorts of viruses, including the flippy virus starting over there in Asia. UK. I know we got a ton of UK listeners, so if you're out there and you can go to Tea Terrace, staffed by robots, let us know. Give us some boots on the ground reporting. Just a reminder for a lot of people, it's Miso Robotics, which a ton of listeners of the show are getting ads for now. I get maybe 5 or 10 people a day sending me screenshots of them getting the Miso Robotics Flippy commercial. So I don't know. I think Miso Robotics is in a little bit of trouble. They're trying to get investors. So everybody go invest in Miso so I can continue to report on Flippy.
I actually found an article that I didn't include in the notes that we have here. Which had to do with the people that are behind the actual Flippy, like the funding of Miso Robotics. I think they're called, I'm trying to find it now, I'll refind it. I don't know if I will. Wavemaker. They're called Wavemaker. They're considered Silicon Beach's most unusual venture capital fund. So if anyone wants to do a little research, look up Wavemaker. Silicon Beach, not Silicon Valley, but Silicon Beach Venture Capital Fund. They're the ones that funded Flippy the robot through Miso Robotics and stuff. So yeah, it's all money. It's all money.
Twitchy MP or Twitchimp over on Twitch says if a restaurant uses robot employees, they should find robot customers. So
that is
there you go.
True.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah. I do want to thank Quiet Storm 1323 for giving us a $2 super chat over here. And he had a message about, I think he said there's nothing funny about getting chipped. And I don't know if you saw in the chat, but I responded, then don't take the chip. Hashtag don't take the mark, There
you go. Don't want it, don't get it, baby.
But moving back to our Flippy update, we got a second Flippy update to make up for all the lost time.
Yeah.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
This one isn't exactly a robot arm, but I want to play this report for you because this lady, this Yahoo News article, were open Detroit robots and restaurants team up in Ann Arbor. And we just got to watch this report. This has to be a native ad. And if you guys don't know what native ads are, it's basically a company pays the news agencies to have news stories that look like news stories, but actually they're advertisements. And I think the lady that does the report here is way too pumped about the situation here.
Yeah.
Whenever I order food for delivery, which is a lot, hey, I'm always hungry. I often look out of the window and the door to see if the delivery driver is in the driveway. But no way would I ever expect to see a Rev 1 rolling up.
Oh,
wow,
Rev 1.
Look at this. Meet Rev 1. It's compact, it's super cute-a-rucci, and reliable. It's a robot that delivers. And with that being said, boy, did these two professors from the University of Michigan deliver with this genius device. Their company, Refraction AI, built a fleet of them late last year. And now business is booming because of COVID-19, especially in the restaurant industry.
If we talk to a lot of our restaurant partners, they restrict the number of deliveries that they do through like an Uber Eats or a Grubhub, et cetera, because the margins are just not there. We want something that works everywhere, right? Not just food delivery, but like all deliveries. Anyone can use our robot to do any type of delivery that they need to do.
Takeout, groceries, prescriptions, you name it. Rev 1 is ready. And for some folks, it helps take some of the worry away.
Without putting me and myself or my family at risk. The risk that those employees are taking on by doing deliveries is significant. The restaurants are concerned for their employees, as are
Where's his mask?
So, how does it work? Well, you
busted.
order food through a customer-designed app. And at 15 miles per hour, primarily in the bike lane, obeying all of the traffic laws, the autonomous battery-operated bot uses a navigation system to travel to your pre-programmed address in the Ann Arbor area and pulls up to your property. You get a text when Rev arrives. So, you go pick up your stuff and Rev pulls off. Neat, huh?
We want to make sure that everybody interacts with as few people as possible. And we think that robots can be a big part of that.
This little dynamo is a big deal, and production is in progress to produce more. I sure hope it comes to a city near me soon, and I'm sure you do too. I'm Andre Ison, 7 Action.
And I'm sure
Super
you
pumped.
do too. This
Super
lady's
pumped.
stepping on my gags, man. She's more hypey than I am.
Yeah.
That's
I know,
impressive.
I'm gonna have her
Holy smokes.
replace you and
I know.
to hype up the
She
show.
would be a great replacement for me. What's that lady's name? Did she say her
She
name
did
on there? We
say her name at the end. Here, let me try to find it.
got to
I'm
pull
Andre
some
Ison.
clips.
Andre something.
Audrey something.
Audrey something.
I'm Andre Ison.
Audrey Isom.
Isom. Audrey. I'm Audrey Isom. Okay. Thanks, Audrey. So there you go. Yeah, we got more robots starting to deliver things. What a time for delivery robots. I mean, it seems like all these sort of silly, sort of, I don't know, novel, little funky robot companies are just in the prime of their lives right now with
Oh, yeah.
lockdown and everything. You know,
They love it.
we've been talking about delivery robots for years, and you know what? Everybody thought they were crazy, but they really know what they're doing. I got some exciting news for you, Gons. Are you ready?
No, I want to say one more thing about this robot car thing.
Okay.
First off,
Shut down.
First off, what's going to happen when like the homeless people need food and they see these guys rolling around? There's going to be so many carjack or Rev 1 jackings.
Yeah, well, that.
Is that why they got cameras on there? And
Mm-hmm.
but then people have masks, so you're not going to be able to. I don't know.
Oh my gosh!
I just think
well,
this is a bad
the
idea.
problem comes when these things. It's kind of like the Old West with some stagecoach robberies.
Right.
There's going to be some stagecoach robberies on these delivery robots for the pizza or Chinese food or what's ever inside. But then, you got right to property. You got right to protect your property. So then you got to have another robot riding shotgun and some security systems on the thing. I don't know. This could go.
It's going to go.
That's a joke, but that's also not
know,
a joke,
it's
man.
not a
I've
joke.
learned a long time ago not to discount the silly things I say on this show, because so far I'm about 10 for 10 on silly predictions about what the future looks like.
It's definitely going to have be equipped with like its own little laser gun or something. If anyone tries to get near it,
or just you touch it, you're gonna get shocked, man.
There you
you're
go.
gonna get shocked, or maybe some ink packs. So you touch it or try to open it, and ink
Fingerprint.
explodes all over you.
Yeah,
it'll be fun. Okay, you ready for the exciting news now, guys?
Sure.
Okay, so I want to a huge thank you. Now, look, just because I think the people on Twitch doesn't mean I don't love the YouTubers, love the D-livers. I love everybody who watches the show. But because of all the cool folks over on Twitch watching, we are number 2 on the list of talk shows and podcasts over on Twitch right now.
Giant dong for that one.
We're number 2, folks. So let's try to get to number 1. We got to get our average concurrent viewers up over on Twitch. And I know people hate it when I talk about this, but if you just were watching, I wouldn't have to talk about it. So go to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Let's try to get to number 1 on the talk show and podcast category.
Yeah, it's because no one podcasts on Twitch, apparently.
Apparently, we're doing good. I like this. Okay, Gons, what do you got? I got something for you.
You got something. You got some space updates.
Space. Wanna go to space?
That's right. Space. Okay, all you NASA lovers out there.
I'm sure the NASA lovers are just thrilled to be here.
Oh, NASA lovers love our show. We love it. We love talking about how the Earth could be flat, maybe. NASA lies, all sorts of fun stuff. But, we've talked about the Artemis Accords in the past few weeks, and there's some news here. So I'm reading. This is straight from the mouth of the beast, nasa.gov. Let's see. Principles for a safe, peaceful, and prosperous future. Here you go, folks. Listen up. We need these principles for a safe, peaceful, and prosperous future. The article reads, via the Artemis program, NASA will land the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024, heralding in a new era for space exploration and utilization. While NASA is leading the Artemis program, international partnerships will play a key role in achieving a sustainable and robust presence robust presence on the moon. Wow. While preparing to conduct a historic human mission to Mars. With numerous countries and private sector players conducting missions and operations in cislunar space, it's critical to establish a common set of principles to govern the civil exploration and use of outer space. We got the Galactic Federation starting here, Gons.
Yep.
International space agencies that join NASA in the Artemis program will do so by executing bilateral Artemis Accord agreements, which will describe a shared vision for principles grounded in the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. We should talk about that someday. We'll pull it up. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Wrote about it in a book that never published.
I know, your 350 pages. Secret space program book.
I know. Yeah, 350 pages. Gone to waste. It'll sit there forever. Sorry, go on.
So, grounded in the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, to create a safe and transparent environment which facilitates exploration, science, and commercial activities for all of humanity to enjoy. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. All of humanity to enjoy being the 37 people who will get to go to space because of this. Okay. Number 1, peaceful purposes. International cooperation on Artemis is intended not only to bolster space exploration, but to enhance peaceful relationships between nations. Therefore, at the core of the Artemis Accords is the requirement that all activities will be conducted for peaceful purposes, per the tenets of the Outer Space Treaty. Okay, so there you go.
I think part of the, if I'm not mistaken, I'm doing this off the top of my head, but I think the 1967 treaty expired in like 2001 or something, and they hadn't upped it. So
I don't remember something like that. Yeah,
they keep bringing it up, but maybe I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to think about because if I recall, the last I remember hearing about it, Bush didn't update it, and so they were trying to conquer space during the Bush Jr. era, and of course he was just dodging shoes being thrown at him and stuff, so he couldn't do it. But go on.
What I found the other day was a 10-hour relaxing music video on YouTube that was set to repeating the repeating video of Bill Gates getting pied in the face.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It was so peaceful, so relaxing and nice. Okay, back to the Artemis Accords. Transparency being the next one. Transparency is a key principle for responsible civil space exploration, and NASA has always taken care to publicly describe its policies and plans. Artemis Accords partner nations will be required to uphold this principle by publicly describing their own policies and plans in a transparent manner, which is just
They're
silly.
so awesome. I love how transparent NASA is.
So transparent. Super secret space program transparency. All right, moving on. Interoperability. Interoperability of systems is crucial to ensure safe and robust space exploration. Therefore, the Artemis Accords call for partner nations to utilize open international standards, develop new standards when necessary, and strive to support interoperability to the greatest extent practical. So there you go. You can't mix Legos and Duplo blocks now, Gons. Everybody has to use Legos. Get those Duplo blocks out of here. I can't say Duplo blocks.
I don't even know what those are. It must be
fake Legos, man.
Oh, fake Legos?
Fake Legos.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, next, emergency assistance. Providing emergency assistance to those in need is a cornerstone of any responsible civil space program. Therefore, the Artemis Accords reaffirm NASA's and partners' nations' commitments to the agreement on the rescue of astronauts, the return of astronauts, and the return of objects launched into outer space. Additionally, under the Accords, NASA and partner nations commit to taking all reasonable steps possible to render assistance to astronauts in distress. Well, yeah, there's going to be like 5 of you guys out there. You got to help each other out. That makes sense there. It's really interesting. This is, I mean, of course, I'm not saying these are necessarily bad, and maybe you should give another rundown of the Artemis project and the Artemis Accords, just for those who may have missed that episode, Gons.
I think it was a couple episodes ago, and I think Trump was the one that announced it, basically to mine the moon, and we're all going to get to have more resources because, they're going to mine the moon, and of course Alex Jones talking about they're going to have statues of Trump on the moon and Mars, and Artemis being the Greek goddess of the hunt, the wilderness, wild animals, the moon, and chastity. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
The daughter of Zeus and Leto, and the twin sister of Apollo. So that's why they named it Artemis. We had Apollo in the 60s. Now we have Artemis, the twin.
There you go.
And
yeah. And we had we showed the Space Force recruitment video a week or two ago, if everybody remembers that. Very important. Recruitment is now open, soldiers and astronauts. So everybody needs to get on that. Okay, continuing.
Are you going to read all of these?
Well, I mean, there's quite a few. Do you have any special ones you want to read?
No, not really. The only question I have is they talked about the first woman on the moon here at the beginning. What if it's like a transgender woman? Does that count?
Oh, Gonzo, of course it counts.
Okay, good. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we need as much sort of complicating factors. This is space now, Gons.
Oh, that's right.
We can't make it simple. So yeah, I mean, if you find this boring, Gons, I don't have to read through all of them, but I'll list them. We had the emergency assistance. We had the registration of space objects, release of scientific data, going back to the everybody getting along nicely and trying to, as one human race, is kind of a globalist ideal thing, is what we're working for here. And that's kind of the idea here is, the space is the future. We're trying to make it open for everybody, and as a global society, we all gotta get along and help each other out and do this as a human race, a human species. Which, hey, there's nothing inherently wrong with any of that. That's great. I mean, we should be working together. We should be getting along, and that's all good. But much like it was in 1969, where the moon landing and really the entire space race for its whole history was sort of used for nationalistic pride.
Right.
And, it was a race of nations. It was competitive between the nations. We got a different attitude now, Gons. This isn't about separating nations or competition. This is about everybody coming together and getting along, which is nice for a public-facing sort of the brochure of the Artemis Project.
Yeah.
Remember, we're reading the brochure here. And of course, different nation states and groups have been having secret space operations for decades. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. It's no fun if you got, your geopolitical nemesis knowing everything, sending your nukes shooting, laser shooting satellites up into space. But at least as far as the public's concerned, it's going to be all nice and kumbaya up there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The whole the reminds me of the Masonic flag that they allegedly planted on the moon. Yeah.
Allegedly. Just the last two, to read the last two here of the Artemis Accords. Deconfliction of activities, which is let's just read through this one real quick. Okay. Avoiding harmful interference is an important principle of the Outer Space Treaty, which is implemented by the Artemis Accords. Specifically via the Artemis Accords, NASA and partner nations will provide public information regarding the location and general nature of operations, which will inform the scale and scope of safety zones. Notification and coordination between partner nations to respect such safety zones will prevent harmful interference. So that's how we're going to keep everybody away from the secret Nazi moon bases. As you say, this is our safety zone. You can't come over here.
Yeah, see, it was all that safe space stuff was prep for the hiding the Nazi moon base. It all comes
the
together.
Artemis safe spaces. Yeah, very good. Okay, and then let's see, what do we got here? Orbital debris and spacecraft disposal. Last but not least, preserving a safe and sustainable environment in space is critical for both public and private activities. Therefore, under the Artemis Accords, NASA and partner nations will agree to act in a manner that is consistent with the principles reflected in the Space Debris Mitigation Guidelines of the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. Moreover, NASA and partner nations will agree to plan for the mitigation of orbital debris, including safe, timely, and efficient passivation and disposal of spacecraft at the end of their missions. So you got to put your recycling in the recycling bins, separate out the cardboard from the cans, Gons. We got to get this right. So there you go. There's your nice and friendly Artemis Accords, principles for a safe, peaceful, and prosperous future. We're going to be keeping an eye on the Artemis project. This really is sort of the globalist sort of peaceful exploration into space. Of course, we got Trump and others talking about mining that sucker. Get all the gold, man. But I don't know. We'll see. Of course, as happens, has always happened in human history and will continue to happen. You got big, powerful groups agreeing to some peaceful rules, and then inevitably everybody's going to be doing all their own secret stuff, and the clandestine space missions will continue.
Yes. Let me just mention one of the passages I wrote about in the book that never published. It was Obadiah 1. It talks about the destruction of Edom, and there's a part in there that says, "Though you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars, even from there I will bring you down, declares the Lord." So, yeah, good luck there, Space Force.
Space Force! Here we go.
Trying to get up to no good there, up into the high heavens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. So that was more of a little update for everybody, but there you go.
Awesome.
On with the show.
All right. This is a story that's a little different. It's going to be biblical. Because, where am I? We talk a lot about technology and science and the scientific dictatorship and stuff like that. This is an article that was published on stream.org. And it was written by Lee Strobel. You may be familiar if you're a Christian or if you're a follower of Jesus and you have studied some of the evidence for the resurrection and things of that nature. Does science support miracles? New study documents a blind woman's healing. And the article reads, she once was blind, but now she sees. A peer-reviewed medical journal has published the extraordinary case study of a woman whose eyesight was spontaneously restored after prayer for healing. It's the latest example of how researchers are increasingly using scientific methods to investigate claims of miracles. The study details the medical history of a woman who was blind for more than a dozen years from juvenile macular degeneration, an incurable condition. She had attended a school for the blind, used a white cane for mobility, and read Braille. One night at bedtime, her husband, a Baptist pastor, got on his knees to pray. He put a hand on her shoulder as she laid on the bed. They were both crying as he prayed, "Oh God, you can restore eyesight tonight, Lord. I know you can do it, and I pray you will do it tonight." With that, she opened her eyes and saw her husband kneeling in front of her. Quote, "I was blind when my husband prayed for me," she said. "Then, just like this, in a moment, after years of darkness, I could see perfectly. It was miraculous. Within seconds, my life had drastically changed. I could see. The woman's eyesight has remained intact for 47 years since the proximal intercessory prayer, or PIP. That is, Christian prayer for healing with accompanying touch. 4 researchers published the case study, the first of its kind in medical literature, in the medical journal Explore. They are part of Global Medical Research Institute, which focuses on investigating claims of healing after prayer. 6 years of feeding tubes healed. Last year, this group published another incredible case study in the peer-reviewed Complementary Therapies in Medicine. In that case, a man suffered from gastroparesis. I'm saying that wrong. And relied on 2 feeding tubes for 16 years. When he experienced hands-on prayer at a church, he said he felt an electric shock starting from his shoulder and going through his stomach. He had been instantly healed. His feeding tubes were removed, and 7 years later, he is still free from any symptoms. Again, this was the first published case of such a spontaneous healing of this incurable condition. And then he says, in my book, The Case for Miracles, now in paperback, I report on several compelling studies that support claims of miraculous healings after prayer with physical touch. For example, Indiana University professor Candy Gunther Brown, PhD at Harvard, led a team that went to villages in Mozambique to study 24 people who were blind or deaf, or who suffered from severe visual or hearing impairment. First, her team used standard tests and technical equipment to precisely determine each person's level of hearing or vision. Then they were each prayed for individually in the name of Jesus with accompanying touch. Immediately after that, they were tested again. The results? Quote, "We saw improvement in almost every single subject we tested," Dr. Brown told me. Quote, "Some of the results were quite dramatic. Indeed, the average improvement of visual acuity was more than tenfold. Martine, a resident of the Namuno village, couldn't hear the equivalent of a jackhammer next to her when the researchers first tested her. After praying for healing, she was able to make out conversations. Brown and her team then did a replication study in Brazil to see if they would get similar results, and they did. The Mozambique experiment was a rigorous scientific study accepted for publication in the secular peer-reviewed scientific Southern Medical Journal. What's Dr. Brown's conclusion? Quote, "Our study shows that something is going on with Pentecostal and charismatic proximal intercessory prayer," she told me. "This is more than just wishful thinking. It's not fakery. It's not fraud. It's not some televangelist trying to get widows to send him their money. It's not a highly charged atmosphere that plays on people's emotions. Something is going on, and it surely warrants another investigation." End quote. Personally, I would venture to say that something miraculous is occurring, and I agree with Dr. Brown. More such research is needed. But in the meantime, several scientific studies are pointing to the direction of divine intervention in people's lives. So this is very interesting. As we move in this super high-tech, we're going to heal vision, we're going to heal all sorts of people with all their ailments. Elon Musk saying we're going to heal, brain injured people and all this kind of stuff. It's interesting that we might start seeing actual scientifically verifiable miracles. I don't even know how that works necessarily.
That
but
certainly would be interesting.
I don't know that it's going to go that far, but I'm saying that it's going to be a thing that people are going to study more and more as these types of things happen. But at the same time, you got to remember the whole Antichrist, counterfeit signs and wonders as well, just to, keep that in mind. I'm not saying that, God doesn't heal. I'm saying, maybe there's some counterfeit type of healing going on from the devil himself too.
Who
just to
knows?
stay balanced here. Go ahead.
It's been one of those things that, everybody has their own opinion on. Growing up, I grew up in the sort of Pentecostal charismatic group there. So lots of this kind of stuff. And, I've always heard claims of scientifically researched and verified, things going on. But it's always hard to find exactly the sources for those scientific studies and things like that. People talk about it all the time, but there have yet to be. I'm not saying there isn't. There probably is, but it's interesting because even if there was scientifically verified evidence of something like this happening, it's probably a long shot that anybody would hear about it. Just because this too much of a paradigm shift.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's probably why you tried to sell me that snake oil when we first met. I was like, what is this for? And you just kept saying,
stop it, Gonzo. Oh, stop it.
Just trying to get you in trouble.
I know. So yeah, no, that's very interesting. Who is this guy? Who is this researcher? Who is this guy? You know this guy?
Lee Strobel?
Yeah.
Or the doctors that he quoted. Lee Strobel's an author. He was an atheist.
The doctors.
He's one of those he was an atheist who went out to disprove the existence of God and ended up becoming a believer in the process. The evidence was overwhelming.
Oh, okay.
Case for Christ. He's actually.
No. I'm talking about the doctors.
The doctors.
The scientists, not the author.
I don't know about the doctors. Just some doctors from universities.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, man.
Yeah.
To find those doctors.
I know. Okay. All right. Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah, very cool. I got some for you. Okay, so here we go. A little VR update, everybody. Just so you know, if this is your first show or you haven't been watching long, let me just give you an idea of what we're doing here. We keep an eye on virtual reality, augmented reality. Obviously, not just for the fun gaming purposes. That's always a good time. But what does it mean for humanity? What does it mean for society? What does it mean for work and love and recreation and all these things? Because podcasting, right? It's touching all of these things, all of these areas of our life. And it's easy to just be like, for the longest time, everybody's just saying, virtual reality, it's a gimmick. It'll never work. Real reality is where it's at, baby. But I found this article very interesting. And yes, as you can see here, I am in my virtual reality office here. It's much more luxurious than my my real office. Yeah.
Do you get depressed when you take the VR headset off? Like, oh, my boring office.
It feels so good to get it off.
Okay.
After a couple hours of having this thing on, it really starts to mess with your head. But we've talked about the possibilities of using VR to work from home, not just, computer jockeying, but also controlling robots from across the world. And that's where we had, those robots working in a tea room in Japan that were controlled by people who could not leave their houses. So that's also very interesting. VR is really a thing. Don't sleep on it, folks. You gotta keep an eye on this because it's going to become much more prevalent. VR will become as prevalent as regular screens, I believe, sometime in the future. But here we go. The article's on 10medium.com. And the article's titled Virtual Reality 1. Not just the kind you think. Okay, all right. So we're going to broaden our scope of virtual reality here. We've got, as authorities prepare to ease lockdown orders across the country. Of course, this is in the context of COVID-19. As authorities prepare to ease lockdown orders across the country, it's becoming clear that the reopening we'd all look forward to doesn't mean returning to anything like normalcy. It's the new normal, folks. Like the war on terror. The battle against coronavirus might be one that drags on for years without a real exit strategy, which is exactly what I've been saying this entire time. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Against that backdrop, we can expect a flourishing of what I'll call pandemic-ready tech. Platforms and tools built for a future in which social distancing is a fact of life, or at least a specter that could return at any time. What these tools have in common is that they obviate the need for physical presence. Take virtual reality, a term that has its roots in early 1980s cyberpunk fiction, but which these days is associated with chunky headsets, immersive graphics, and commercial failure. There's still a chance that coronavirus will make that kind of virtual reality more mainstream. On Thursday, Apple acquired startup NextVR, which broadcasts live and recorded events for VR headsets. Last week, Bloomberg reported that Facebook is developing a smaller, lighter version of the Oculus Quest, its standalone VR headset. But if you take a broader reading of the term virtual reality, there's a sense in which it has already gone mainstream. For people stuck at home in the pandemic, big chunks of our lives have moved into online spaces, even if we don't own any fancy VR gadgetry. And some of those changes are likely to stick. The pattern. You had to be there, but you didn't have to be there. For years, massive multiplayer games have been evolving beyond entertainment and into gathering places. The stay-at-home orders have only accelerated that trend. This week, a Democratic political strategist suggested that Joe Biden's campaign could take a cue from rapper Travis Scott's virtual Fortnite concert and project a giant hologram of the candidate against the Grand Canyon as part of the Democratic convention.
Hold on. Stop right there. Wait. Hold on. A giant Joe Biden hologram against the Grand Canyon. Now, I want to see that. I want to see that happen, and I want to see him say ridiculous things about his hairy legs.
Can you imagine that? That would just be, it would be sad. It would be funny, but it would be sad.
It would be sad.
A humongous, confused old man just standing above the Grand Canyon, talking to all the Gen Zers.
Oh my god!
Playing Fortnite.
Oh, it's great.
Although I might pick up Fortnite to play it if Joe Biden would show up in one of the levels.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And they're referring to Travis Scott, who's a rapper. I saw clips of this. They did a Fortnite concert, so he was humongous. He was like 100 feet tall in Fortnite and did a concert, and that's it. That's the end of it. Scott's April 23rd takeover the Battle Royale game, which drew more than 12 million concurrent viewers. That's a lot of concurrent viewers. And nearly 28 million in all, has quickly become a benchmark for the potential of in-game live events. The idea of Biden trying to stage any like this is both undeniably absurd and surprisingly plausible. I think that's a good read.
That's a good way. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
The idea came as the prospect of a virtual Democratic convention is looking more likely. On Tuesday, party leaders took a step in that direction, giving convention planners the authority to allow virtual voting if needed. This is for the primary vote at the convention.
Right.
Online voting more generally remains contentious, with some states launching experiments even as the federal government warns that it's high risk because the systems that support it have not been proven to be fully secure. Ready or not, coronavirus is pushing key elements of our democracy online, including Biden's campaign, which has struggled to adapt his backslapping political style to live streams from his home in Delaware. In New York Times op-ed earlier this month, Barack Obama's former top strategist said he'll have to get more creative and interactive in his use of platforms. Quote, online speeches from his basement won't cut it. I think that's wise. It's smart. Those basement videos from Biden have not quite done it, I don't think.
No.
Continuing on, even if and when the pandemic recedes to the point that we can safely cram tens of thousands of people into an arena or conventional hall, or even hundreds into a club, the logistical infrastructure that supports those events, from venues to promoters to StubHub and Live Nation, may lie in ruins. When you think of how Netflix was chipping away at movie theaters even before COVID-19, it's not a stretch to foresee virtual events like Scott's Fortnite concert permanently supplanting some portion of the live events industry. including but not limited to concerts. ESPN's Arda Okal, a former WWE announcer, predicts Fortnite weddings, Fortnite business meetings, an in-game WWE event, and Survivor Fortnite. All of those things already exist in other games. So this is the biggest OK boomer I've ever seen on Arda Okal. Weddings have existed in MMORPG games for a long time. Same with business meetings. I guess an in-game WWE event, like, the video game of WWE that already exists, and Survivor Fortnite. That's just called Fortnite. Moving on. Nor will the trend be limited to Fortnite. Couples are already holding. Okay, so they just did a whole few paragraphs on what I just said. Let me see here. Let me scan because this is a little bit long. But what do you think, Gon? Are you going to ever jump into, so what they're saying here is not just virtual reality in the sense of the goggles and the 360, creation of these games and atmospheres and events and things like that, but that the internet itself, pretty much, if you take that definition, we've all been almost exclusively living in virtual reality for at least 2 months here, and some people many, many years.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting, and tying it back to the moon stuff, I always felt like one way that if the moon landings were faked, one way that they deceived everybody was through the television set, right? Everyone's seeing this. Oh, they're on the moon. They see video footage. Well, this boom in VR might be the next evolution of trying to deceive everybody of going to the moon or going to space or whatever it is. If, hey, look, you can be on the moon with the astronauts in your VR headsets. And everyone will say, look, I was there. It was like I was there. It's just a very
that would be an interesting recreation of the 1969, just the social impact and social experience of, being there, watching it on TV. You hear people say, I know I was sitting right in the living room with my parents or my kids or whatever when it happened. I'll never forget it. And now it'll be everybody, I was there in my VR headset looking around and all that kind of stuff.
I can see Earth. I could see Earth through my VR goggles, and therefore it must be true. I mean, that's the extreme end of it, but also, in terms of a practical sense, I think this was coming. Obviously, the virus accelerated all of it and made it so that certain industries would die and other industries would pop up, and VR being one that really can take advantage, along with delivery robots and flippy arms and everything else.
It's crazy how quickly it murdered so many industries. Live event industries, that sort of thing. And now it's all falling on VR. When we started, following virtual reality, augmented reality, all that kind of stuff, it was kind of not as a joke, but, it's just something we were interested in. It didn't, and whenever we talked about the major impacts that it would have on the future, it was always very theoretical and we all, not to say that we are having to stretch too far, but I mean, it took a year, maybe 2 years to go from gimmick gadgetry all the way to it's the only way to experience other people.
Right. And it's just crazy how we've been reporting, at least on News Talk, but even before then on Canary Cry Radio, the advent of VR and AR and how it's going to impact society and how it's going to impact all of our day-to-day living, Real Player One type of stuff that we've been covering. And people are like, yeah, but it's going to be a while. It's going to take so long.
I know. We were even putting it out. We're probably the craziest ones, and we're putting it out maybe 20, 30 years. But
I wasn't saying that long. I thought it would come sooner, but I didn't think it would come this year. Boom, here it is. Put on your VR headset or lose your job, kind of thing. But it's going to become more and more difficult for people to avoid if they want to keep their jobs, if they want to communicate with people or whatever it is. That whole VR headset, and it's going to become cheaper. That's the other part, right? The devices are going to be cheaper, more accessible, and the kids are going to get it a lot sooner. I guess I was going to say in their schools, because we were reporting on that as of last year. Kids in public schools and stuff are receiving VR types of experiences to learn, and you don't need to be in a school setting to do that anymore. You can do it at home. So I'm sure education will be a big vehicle to bring this to everyone's homes, just like the TV. It's exactly like the TV was in everyone's homes eventually. I think we're going to see a similar boom in the VR gadgetry sector.
Holodecks, baby.
Holodecks,
I've thought about converting one of the rooms in my place into just a full-on holodeck. Just completely devoid of furniture. All you got is a virtual reality headset.
Are you going to connect to the strings? You remember we reported on the strings on the fingers a couple episodes ago?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know if that has a future, but I've seen some of these holodecks, and they hang the cords for those who have corded VR headsets. They're on these like suspension systems hanging from the ceiling, and it does look like the person wearing the helmet is like a marionette. So poetic.
We actually got contacted by somebody who had put together something called Jesus VR. We might want to reach back out to them and do an interview with them, because basically, I mean, they were working on this a while ago, but I think you can check it out now. It looks like for $15 here, but Jesus VR is it's a virtual reality experience of like all the locations of the Bible and things like that. So, I mean, people are already doing or building or have built this type of thing for the VR, church for the VR headsets or whatever.
Right.
Interesting. You know what? You should try it. Look at this. It's got stories from the Bible. It's got the birth of Jesus, the baptism, the devil tempts Jesus. It's got 14 different chapters. The Last Supper.
I'll give it a try.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it looks kind of ridiculous, but ridiculous in the sense of, I don't know. There's a picture of a lady here holding up her VR goggles, and it's got the Jesus VR logo on the thing. There's something about covering your eyes. Sorry, Basil. That I feel like it makes you look ridiculous from the outside. I mean, from the inside, you're in this virtual crazy world space, but from the outside, you do look pretty ridiculous, gotta say.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's why you got to put some big ol' eyes on the outside to not look ridiculous.
Okay.
And speaking of ridiculous, guys, let's take a second. We'll take just a quick second here. Sure. I want to thank everybody who's watching over on Twitch. We're still number 2 on talk shows and podcasts, which is very cool. But anybody out there, head on over to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Let's try to get that up to number 1. Man, that would be cool, huh? So if you're not doing it yet, now here's the thing. I know people love their YouTube. I know people love their Facebook. But we, as we know, there's a lot of problems with censorship and shadow banning, and we had a live stream cut midstream on YouTube. They shut us off whenever we start talking about things we shouldn't be talking about. And of course, lots of demonetization, things like that. We're not on YouTube because we make any money from it, because we don't. But Twitch has a bunch of really cool tools that will help us support ourselves. I mean, we are your guys' essential employees. We got nothing else going on. So Twitch, thankfully, has some alternative funding structures. So what we got to do is we got to get our average viewership up to 75, and we've only got a few more shows to do this. Now today I'm looking over there, we got about 100 viewers right now, which is awesome. But our average viewer count is calculated over 30 days. So we're actually not quite up there. Our average right now is 65 viewers. We need to get that up to 75. So if anybody out there, I see there's hundreds of you out there on YouTube and other places. If you could go to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio and watch it from there. And some people don't like it. Here's a secret. You can just open up another tab and have it there and still watch it on beloved YouTube, because we don't want Susan Wojcicki to get mad at us for taking away her business. I haven't seen Susan Wojcicki in in the chat today. I'm kind of sad. I don't see her hanging out with us.
I should grab my letter to show everybody. I got a letter from Susan Wojcicki. Why don't you do your little Twitch thing? I'll grab the letter real quick. Yeah, you going to do it? Or
okay.
No? Huh?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, while you get your letter, I'm going to give some shout outs. That sound good? Okay, we got Arkman614. Ding, ding. Thanks, Arkman. Oh, and if you're in the Twitch chat and it's your first time here, mention it so I can give you a shout out, like Vitruer. Vitruer. Yeah, okay. I have no idea how to say your name. Sorry, buddy. But thanks for being here. We also got Airship Enoch. Cool name.
Airship Enoch. I think I've met Airship Enoch.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
LJS Mom 70. Thank you, LJS Mom. We got oh my gosh, hold on, let me make it bigger. Caria Costa. Thank you. I Need the Waymaker. Thanks for visiting here. We got Teeters. TIITERS. Bring Forth Fruit. Thanks. Bring Forth Fruit. Warrior Chick Jan. Thanks, Warrior Chick Jan. We got Elon Musk Alien Man. Yeah, Elon Musk Alien Man. Yeah, that's right. And we got those are it. Those are our new viewers that I have on this list here. So thank you guys so much. We got the Montgomery Jones. Oh my gosh, I found him. Montgomery Jones. Okay, so for those who don't know, I have another podcast called The Joyspiracy Theory. I recommend everybody go check it out. It's a great place to be. And there's been a strange anonymous man for years calling my speak pipe and leaving me messages and just singing for like a minute and a half. Sometimes it seems like it's all extemporaneous, like he's making it up as he goes. Sometimes it's based on a theme of like a well-known song. Sometimes it's just completely wild. And there's somebody in here says the Montgomery Jones. He says, I'm the one that leaves awesome songs on the Joyspiracy Theory. So I found you, Montgomery Jones. You've been such a mystery. Okay, so there's some fun news.
All right.
Let's see. Anybody else? New. We got Arkman. Oh, we called out Arkman. They call me Socks 13. What's up, buddy? And we got Rajanak, longtime follower on YouTube. Just made the switch. You get the golden medal, Rajanak. Okay, that's it for the Twitch shout-outs for this time. We'll take another break a little later on. But again, folks, remember, I know you don't want to do the work of doing a couple more clicks to help out your buddies, but please, if you could, even if you just have it in a separate tab, go to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. It's a huge help. Thanks, guys.
And we also have dlive.tv/Canary Cry Radio, and that's where it's kind of like, well, if you don't like Twitch because Twitch is Amazon, then you can head over to DLive, which is technically got bought out by Tron and Justin Sun, so it's not as it's got its own problems, but it's another live streaming platform. In the meantime, I got this letter here. Can you see the letter? I'm going to try to show it on the video. It's from Susan Wojcicki.
Oh, you got a personal letter from Susan Wojcicki.
Yeah, this is kind of an older letter, but it's when I got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'll just read parts of it here. You've done something very few YouTube creators accomplish. You had an astonishing 100,000 people subscribed to your channel. We know numbers on YouTube can get really big, but we hope you don't lose sight of the reality behind that 6-digit milestone. Each and every person who has subscribed to your channel was touched by what you did. All this kind of nice kind of stuff. And then it says here, we know you don't do this for rewards. You do it because you have a drive to create and share, and because you found an audience who cares. Believe us when we say that we can't wait to see what you do next. I don't believe you, Susan. A million subscribers may seem a long way off right now, but you're closer than you think. We're rooting for you. Congratulations. Sincerely, Susan Wojcicki. And again, this was a couple years ago when the channel broke 100,000 subscribers, and it's at 263,000 subscribers, and it's been stuck there for many months. So either people just don't care beyond 263,000 people, or they're not allowing the channel to grow anymore, which is fine. That's okay.
We've seen that. And as usual, I mean, people love the YouTubes. We get it. We're having to make a switch because if funky things happen over there, funky numbers, videos disappearing, obviously famous for shadow banning and censorship, which, you know what? They're their own company. They're allowed to do what they want, but that means we're allowed to switch platforms, and that's why we're over on Twitch. Being a little bit nicer to us, even though you got a nice letter from Susan. I want my letter from Bezos.
Good luck with that one. You might get a robot dog, one of those DARPA dogs, knocking on your door, with a letter from Bezos in his mouth as a scroll.
Oh no, yeah, they'll come. They'll come get me. Yeah. Those robot doges where I am. Oh gosh, Doge. I've lost control of my VR hand. Okay, there we go. All right, should we get back to the stories, Gons? What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay.
COVID. I think this is the first. I don't know. Actually, I might have messed up. I don't know that this has something directly to do with COVID. Okay. However, it does have a little bit to do with what we just talked about with Google and YouTube. Barr calls out tech companies that are willing to accommodate authoritarian regimes when it serves their business interests. It's a 1-minute clip, so I wanted to play this for everybody. Check this out.
Companies that advocate most loudly for warrant-proof encryption in the name of privacy rights are at the same time willing to accommodate authoritarian regimes when it serves their business interests. For example, it has been widely reported that Apple has worked with both the Communist Party of China and the Russian regime to relocate data centers to enable bulk surveillance by those governments. Apple also has reportedly disabled features and applications on iPhones used by pro-democracy advocates, thereby facilitating censorship and oppression. If technology companies like Apple are willing to oblige the demands of authoritarian regimes, they certainly have no excuse for failing to cooperate with rule of law nations that respect civil liberties and privacy rights and have judicial safeguards.
Okay, so I might have labeled that story wrong a little bit there in the notes there, but okay, yeah, Barr going after Apple and their coziness with authoritarian regimes.
Yeah, well, it's been a topic of conversation for a while, and it's funny because Google's been working with China specifically for years, and they even had an employee protest because they were helping create weaponized AI for China and a lot of drone stuff. I know Amazon had some trouble over there too, but Apple. Just now, they were kind of the last bastion of the idea of a big tech firm that wouldn't bow to governments. And just recently they started slipping a little bit, giving location data for COVID tracking.
Well, at least publicly. There might have been some stuff going on behind the scenes already.
Who knows?
So, yeah. But okay,
cat hair in my mouth. So there you go. You got Barr calling out big tech. At least it's nice to hear something coming from the top.
Yeah. The way I see it, though, by the time we're hearing it from the political pulpits, it's kind of like too late. I think it doesn't really make that much of a difference, in my opinion. They'll try to bring it down a hammer or whatever, but they're a little, I don't know, empty threats maybe.
Yeah, it's always empty threats, man. These corporations are immune. There's been a lot of talk, and there's been a lot of talk about trust busting too, with Google and Alphabet and all this stuff. Trust busting, activating the antitrust laws to break up companies that have monopolies. There's a lot of talk about that recently. I just can't imagine that actually happening. I don't know when the last time a trust busting suit actually succeeded.
Yeah.
Now that's not because follow them, on the daily. Maybe there has been, but I have not heard of one. Usually it's a pretty big deal when that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with as much complaints and as much the emotional roller coaster that specifically the big tech companies have created just on a daily basis to simple human existence, I would love to think that somebody would be called to account for that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, again, on one hand, they're calling out these tech companies, but on the other hand,
we should all just vaccinate.
Oh, gosh.
Get your shots on.
Get your shots on. This is a clip from Alan Dershowitz, another 1-minute clip. Quite disturbing, if you ask me.
Let me put it very clearly.
Yep, go ahead. Sorry.
Real quick before you do, I'm giving a shout out to FJV Tank 0311 who made the move, and giving a shout out to Swamp Lily the Painter.
Nice.
Finally started watching on my PC so I could switch to Twitch just to watch you guys boo to Susan.
All right.
That's right. Boo to Susan.
Boo to Susan.
All right, let's hear Dershowitz.
Thought I saw something in the chat. Somebody saying that Susan's threatening people with something to come back to YouTube.
No, Susan Wojcicki Official, who is an avid viewer of our Twitch channel. She's been offering free YouTube Prime memberships. YouTube Premium for those of our listeners who switched to Twitch to switch back to YouTube. They really don't want us over here on Twitch, Guns.
Excellent. Okay, so this is a constitutional lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, discussing the whole, the rights of citizens when it comes to avoiding vaccines.
Let me put it very clearly. You have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread a disease, even if you disagree. You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
Wait, can I stop you? No right not to be vaccinated? Meaning if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm. If the vaccination
Where is that in the Constitution?
If the vaccination is designed to prevent the spreading disease. If the vaccination is only to prevent a disease that you will get, for example, if there's a disease that will kill you, you have the right to refuse that, but you have no right to refuse to be vaccinated against a contagious disease. Public health, the police power of the Constitution, gives the state the power to compel that, and there are cases in the United States Supreme Court. Let me put it very.
Did you see the guy interviewing? His face, like throughout the whole thing, was just like appalling. I can't believe that he was like, "What? Huh?"
Yeah, it is appalling.
This is really troubling. I mean, he literally said, if you're gonna say no to the vaccine, they can take you out of your house and bring you to a I mean, come on, man. What?
Was that the end of the clip?
Yeah, it's the end of the clip.
Yeah. I mean, it's bizarre, man. It's crazy.
It's just weird.
That's like, here's the thing. Usually when you traffic in sort of the interesting exploratory ideas that we do, that's the kind of talk that you get sensationalized and delivered to you. And usually the truth ends up not being so on the nose like that. But this is, we should talk about Dershowitz someday. I mean, he's a very influential figure, and for him to be coming out, and he's not even trying to sweeten it here. No. This is not like, well, it's our responsibility as good citizens. No, you do not have the right to not get vaccinated. The police have the right to scoop you away and bring you to a facility and get you.
And plunge a needle into your arm. The exact words, plunge a needle into your arm. Wow. Okay.
Do you know where this full interview is taking place? I wonder. We might need. I need to watch that whole interview.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave links in the description from the show here, but yeah. I mean, this 1 minute clip is what people are sharing around, and it's quite disturbing. So I don't know. On one hand, Bill Barr calling out big tech companies. On the other hand, constitutional lawyers saying that they're going to plunge needles into our arm if we don't comply.
All right. Well, they know best.
Yeah, they know best. Yeah. Speaking of this COVID thing here. COVID. This is the Los Angeles Times. So you really want to see your friends? Here's how to assess the risk. They're going to tell us how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me how it's done.
Your willpower is fraying. Mine is too. For 2 months, we've been good. We've Zoomed. We've FaceTime. We've waved at neighbors from across the street and behind the fence. But enough is enough. We want to see friends and family in real life. Now many of us are allowing cracks to form in our protective coronavirus fortresses, crossing our fingers while doing our best to mitigate the risk. We let our kids ride their bikes together as long as they wear their masks. We invite friends into our yards for drinks, being careful to set the chairs 6 feet apart. Which, by the way, I've seen that in my neighborhood. I don't know if you've seen this, Basil, but I've seen birthday parties on the lawn, and everyone's all spread out, and it just looks kind of ridiculous. It looked more like a ritual circle than it did any kind of social gathering.
Right.
We experiment with picnics and social distancing walks. We make pacts. I won't see anybody and you won't see anybody, and that way we can see each other, right? Maybe? No? Los Angeles County health officials are still advising people to resist the urge to visit friends and family, even from a distance of 6 feet. We are recommending that you continue to do your distancing in the same ways that we've recommended before, using technology. Where's my ding? Here it is. Using technology is the theme here. Barbara Ferrer, the county's director of public health, said Friday, we are not recommending at this point in time that people should be in social units together. Elsewhere, however, public health experts acknowledge that even rule followers are likely to experience quarantine fatigue and are looking for ways to cheat as safely as possible.
Quarantine fatigue. Ain't that the truth?
I know.
I'm tired of this.
Dr. Mary Bassett, a former health commissioner for New York City and professor at Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health, said she expects people will soon begin to expand their cone of safety beyond households, whether or not public health officials think it's a good idea. Regardless of what we tell them, this is a quote, regardless of what we tell them, people will try to rank their risk, Bassett said. Quote, whether outdoor activities are safer than indoor activities, does it make sense to expand the circle of people I see? These are the things people are going to want guidance on. The hard truth remains that just as abstinence is the only surefire way to avoid a sexually transmitted disease, the best way to protect ourselves from the coronavirus is by remaining physically isolated from one another. But
there
for
you
many
go.
of
Put
us,
it in a metaphor people will actually understand.
yeah, but for many of us, and for a variety of reasons, that may be impossible. That may be an impossible standard to maintain. So if you must see friends, how can you tell if an activity is high risk or low risk? And this is where I just found it so ridiculous. Because remember, Basil, we've been stuck in our homes inside this whole time, right?
Yeah.
A general rule of thumb is that outdoor tends to be better than indoors. Small groups are better than large groups, and a shorter period of time is better than a longer one, said Julie Swan, head of the Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering at North Carolina State University in Raleigh. The relative risk of seeing others also depends on how prevalent COVID-19 is in your community and how much potential exposure the friends or family member you plan to see has had to the virus, said Chun-Hei Chi, director of the Center for Global Health at Oregon State University. Quote, the idea of safe or not safe is not black and white, he said. It's a degree that is influenced by multiple factors. Isn't that true for like anything? Wearing a mask will reduce the risk of becoming infected with the virus if you don't have it, and the spreading of it to others if you do have it but don't realize it. But enough of the broad strokes. LA Times asked Dr. Mary Beth Sexton an infectious disease expert at Emory University School of Medicine, to help assess the risk of 7 social activities that people are already engaging in. So it kind of goes through some of these things here. 2 families gathering for a barbecue in the backyard with families staying 6 feet apart. Hello, cat.
Sorry, this cat is going crazy.
The quarantine is not doing well for the kitty. That is a big kitty. My goodness.
Yeah, she's hefty.
That is a hefty. That's a happy kitty.
She's gained her COVID-19 pounds. Ugh.
Okay. Verdict. It's tough if kids are involved. Context. Cooking burgers on the grill is okay, Sexton said. Scientists think the majority of coronavirus transmissions are through respiratory droplets that spread when people are in close proximity to one another. Some contact spread is also likely if someone coughs and sneezes on the surface like a railing or doorknob, and then someone else touches it. But if the food was prepared by someone practicing good hand hygiene and then is well cooked, it's probably okay. Just make sure people were not touching the same utensils or plates. The concern here... Man, they're turning us all into germaphobes. The concern here...
But also, that's crazy. Of course you're not going to use the same...
I know.
Silverware and plate. I mean, of course, we've all done it. There's reasons to do it, but like you're not going to do that right now.
I know, just in general, but yeah. The concern here is that while the adults can execute the plan safely, it's hard to explain social distancing to kids, especially if they haven't seen one another in a long time. And if the kids are playing together, they are bringing anything they are exposed to back to their families. And the next one, social distanced walk with, let's admit it, some drift. Verdict, relatively low risk. Context, it's hard to always know you're 6 feet apart, and Sexton said there's nothing magical about 6 feet anyway. Some virus-laden droplets expelled in a cough or sneeze travel 3 feet, while others might make it as far as 9. The good thing about a walk is that you're outside. Once again, we're outside, and that's generally safer than being inside.
Ooh.
Because there's better airflow to carry droplets away from you. And as long as you're trying to maintain 6 feet of separation as much as possible, even though 6 feet is not really a magical number, the only thing that would make you even safer is wearing a mask. That goes for both of you.
Not according to Fauci.
I know. Mom's night out in backyard. No kids, no spouses. Bring your own everything. Stay 6 feet apart. Of course, they just said there's nothing magical about 6 feet, but then they just keep saying, hey, yep, 6 feet. Verdict.
I know, the whole thing is filled with contradictions. It's crazy.
Context, keeping it outside, keeping kids from playing together, and keeping people from going in and out of the kitchen or sharing food and drinks are all good. But as we ease back into socializing, Sexton said, smaller is safer. If there were 10 moms at a gathering and you assume that each mom went to a similar party earlier that week, then attending this party is like being exposed to 100 other people. That's where a gathering like this can rapidly spread the virus, especially if one of the guests was particularly contagious, she said. Isn't this true for like the normal flu too? Isn't this not just, but anyway. Drinks around a fire pit. I know, I'm sorry. Drinks around a fire pit. Chairs 6 feet apart.
That's a big fire pit.
I know. Fairly low risk. If people really observe distancing in that kind of situation, then it's fairly safe as long as you limit it to a small number of people. 2 families quarantined together. Mixed verdict. Context, there are some really nice things about this idea, Sexton said, but it's hard to guarantee that someone in the group isn't going to be exposed. If they are bringing that exposure to a larger group of people than they would if they were with their own family. A lot of fear-mongering going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kids riding bikes together while wearing masks. Verdict, intermediate risk. Context, what this situation has going for it is that kids are outside. Again, thought we were supposed to all be inside, but hey, the good thing about this one is they're all outside, and their bikes prevent them from getting too close to one another. Plus, you've got the protection of masks.
Sorry, which goes against another study or whatever you want to call it that came out a few weeks ago saying that you don't have to wear a mask if you walk, but you have to wear a mask if you bike because for some reason biking spreads more of the germs or something.
More airflow. Well, yeah, more airflow to carry the germs, even though earlier that it said that it's less likely because the airflow will carry it away from you. Anyway, But you have to be careful because if any of these kids have been playing with other kids, their risk of exposure is magnified and they carry that risk back to their families.
No.
To make this safer, make sure none of the kids has had a ton of exposure to other kids and that they really understand that masks need to stay on. They should also wash their hands immediately when they come home.
The mask thing, have you seen, there's been some articles, I don't have it here for the show today, but kids, so the effects of wearing a mask, one of them is you reduce your blood oxygen level quite a bit.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh, oh man, there's a cat just stalking around me. I can hear her. Clever girl. She's on me now. Talking about how it lowers the oxygen level in your blood. And there's actually kids, I think this particular story I saw was in China of kids, doing PE or running around with masks on and collapsing because, their body needs higher oxygen, but the mask isn't allowing it to happen. So I don't know, it's a little bit of a give and take, man.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that wearing a mask, more than anything, it's already been proven. The experts, Fauci says that wearing a mask is useless. But I've had quite a number of conversations, even with my normie friends. I was talking to a normie buddy of mine, and he was asking if I was wearing a mask. And I said, sometimes, just when I don't want, just to make other people feel comfortable.
Dirty looks. Yeah.
What?
You don't want when you don't want dirty looks when you're walking outside.
Yeah, when I just don't want to draw extra attention. I mean, sometimes I do want to draw extra attention. Sometimes I just don't want to deal with it. So I'll pop a mask on if I go into a store or something. First of all, where I'm at, nobody's wearing a mask anymore. But I was talking to this guy, and even he's, I wouldn't say he's like a radical leftist type of guy. He's just a normal guy,
right?
Who's sort of on the normal side of, not liking Trump and generally being, a liberal-minded fella. And even he was like, oh, I just do it just to make people comfortable. I think it's all virtue signaling. And he said those words. I'm like,
really?
Oh, okay, yeah. He's like, yeah, I just do it so people know that I'm cool.
So this last one here is interesting. It says letting someone use your bathroom. Verdict: safer than you might think if you take some basic precautions. Context: Sexton said there are a couple ways to make this scenario safer. If someone goes into the house to use the bathroom, let them go alone. When they're done, it's critically important that they wash their hands really well. Then you'll want to clean the restroom afterwards. Almost all household cleaners have indications that they kill coronavirus. As long as you can clean surfaces and wash hands, you should be safe. Remember that there was I can't remember if he was a mayor of a city or something out here where I'm at, said in a press conference last week or a couple weeks ago maybe, that anybody that shares a bathroom, we're going to have to remove them out of the home.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So again, another
wild
contradiction going on with and that was actually Orange County, I think right next to LA County. So I don't know if anyone's really paying attention to this stuff, they'll realize that the messaging is very confusing because on one hand, we're going to remove you from homes if you're sharing a bathroom with someone, but also it's totally safe if you just clean the bathroom. So I don't know. It's just a ridiculous thing here. And I just want to real quick super chat. What's the person's name here? I scrolled by and I saw it and I responded to them. Ho operator, U.S. patent W020200600606. Google it. And thank you for the super chat. I sent a link back in reply to a video that I published back in at the end of March, covering the Microsoft patent mining cryptocurrencies, and still haven't gotten more than 15,000 views on that video. YouTube really doesn't like anybody finding that video, apparently.
Yeah, our last live stream, usually on your channel there at Face Like the Sun, we'll get, somewhere between 15 and 20,000 views. The last episode, which is, I think, the one that got cut, or the one after the one where the stream got cut.
Yeah, the one after it got cut.
It's like stuck at 5,000. The numbers won't go up at all. It's really bizarre. And if it was, if that kind of fluctuation was normal, it wouldn't be weird. But suddenly, all of the sudden, you're losing 75% of your viewership or 60% or something.
I got the letter from Susan.
It's crazy.
Documented
Susan,
proof.
what happened? Your love is so fickle, Susan.
I know. Do we have a 5G jingle?
No.
Okay,
Not that I know of.
We're making a call out.
Let's mention that to people. So, hey, everybody, here's the thing. You're listening to, we got all sorts of fun jingles. People love the jingles. We love the jingles. And a lot of our jingles are created by listeners. So if you're a listener out there and you know your way around some sound software, or you're a musician, or you know how to use an iPhone app or something, you can make us jingles and we'll play them on the show, give you a shout out. It's fun. It makes the show better. You're getting involved. Well, you're then a producer of the show. It's awesome. So we need a 5G jingle out there. So if you're one of those types of people, you know, just figure out a little jingle, maybe a little sound clip or something. Make it. Try not to make it any longer than like 5 seconds. 5 seconds is kind of the max. But put some together, folks. Send it to us. You can send that to canarycryradio@gmail.com. Again, that's canarycryradio@gmail.com. We need a 5G jingle or else we're going to be in trouble.
I'll just, this is our impromptu 5G jingle for this episode.
Okay.
Where is it?
It will kill.
There you go.
Ooh,
There's your
yes.
5G.
And another couple of super chats, one more from Ho Operator and then one from Crystal Moonshine. Thank you very much. She says, great job, guys.
Awesome.
Great to have you back, Crystal.
All right. So are you ready for this 5G article?
You know, I kind of want to let you have that one. I want to take the next one.
Oh, okay. All right. Here we go.
Unless I can do both.
No. I can do it.
Okay.
I got it.
Right.
Back off, googly eyes.
You got it, bro.
Okay, this is Reuters.com. False claim. Video shows 5G telecoms equipment stamped with COVID-19 ready to be installed into a mast.
Yeah, I saw this video just today, actually.
Okay.
I saw it floating around YouTube, and yeah, it's just a guy. He's some sort of telecom worker putting together
allegedly.
Allegedly putting together a 5G mast. And do you want to just show a clip of that, or what do you think?
Let me just go through the article because it kind of describes what's happening here.
Why don't you go for it?
A video being shared widely on social media shows a man who presents himself as a telecoms engineer allegedly revealing equipment labeled COVID-19 that is due to be installed into a 5G tower. This video contains false information. The footage emerged earlier this week and has been shared on multiple social networks, garnering thousands of views. And it's got a bunch of Facebook links going to the examples. It shows a man wearing a hard hat and high visibility jacket telling the camera that he works as a telecom engineer erecting 5G masts across the UK while the country is in lockdown. He then holds up a circuit board and claims it is a piece of kit that has COVID-19 on it. He adds, quote, "I don't really know any products by any company that produces circuitry like this that has the brand name COVID-19, but that's what it says on the effing circuit board. I'm not a effing conspiracy theorist, but obviously I've read all the stuff online about coronavirus and COVID-19, but why the F are they putting circuitry like that in towers like that?" It's not clear whether the subject in the video is actually a telecoms engineer, but the equipment he holds is not 5G telecoms kit. The circuit board was actually taken from a Virgin Media box for cable television that the casing of which can be seen on the bonnet of the van as the camera pans at the end of the footage. Virgin Media confirmed to Reuters it believed the circuit board had been taken from an old TV box, and the COVID-19 engraving was not authentic. A company spokesman added, quote, "That is a board from a very old set-top TV box in which never featured any component parts inscribed, stamped, printed, or otherwise with COVID-19. It has absolutely no relation to any mobile network infrastructure, including that used for 5G. A gray cable connector on the far corner of the circuit board in the video is situated next to the SCART plug, as seen on an image of a Virgin Media TV box, and it's got a link there. Reuters was able to compare the buttons seen on the near-sided edge of the board with pictures sent by two sources who own the same box and had pulled it apart. The layout of the circuit board also matched the pictures sent by the sources. Verdict? False. The video does not show COVID-19 labeled equipment ready to be fitted to a 5G mast. This article was produced by Reuters' fact-check team. And you know, there's plenty of legitimate concerns for 5G and the scientific experiments showing that, it unravels DNA and things of that nature. We don't need this type of thing. And so it leads me to believe, unless it's just like a prank that this guy was doing, because he does have a face mask on, right? So you can't really see who he is unless they use their
Not
eyebrow.
like that matters, though.
I know it doesn't matter.
I got pushed back against this. It's a prank or he's in the CIA because he's wearing a mask.
Well, no. I'm not saying that he's in the CIA because he's wearing. I'm just saying.
I'm saying
he's
in the
wearing
CIA.
a mask. You're saying he is?
I think this could be a
Total
purposeful
psyop?
disinfo for the truther people.
So that's what I'm saying. That's a possibility. If not a hoax, then it's something like that, because there are legitimate concerns for 5G, and to throw this out there and to have debunkings going on for it suggests that they would want a type of, hey, there's nothing wrong with 5G. Look at all these crazy people coming up with crazy theories. And even fake videos like this, where clearly it's not a very good job if they came up with it, because there's a lot of people that were commenting and looking at the circuit boards, know what they're looking at, engineers and stuff that were saying, yeah, it's not anything like what the real tech looks like. So just an interesting little story that you got to stay vigilant. You can't believe everything you read about, but also you can't necessarily believe the debunking of it at the same time. You got to be skeptical all around in terms of this stuff.
Well, the interesting thing is that this is from Reuters, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
They're not usually, at least in our past experiences, they're not necessarily in the business of debunking. A lot of times they kind of lean towards the kind of truther side.
Right. Which is why this is interesting, that it may be Reuters is starting to, get pressure from somebody to start giving good 5G propaganda out there. You never know.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big outlet.
Gotta love the good 5G propaganda.
Yep.
All right.
I don't have a jingle for this, but we're talking
Four
about.
Horsemen.
Oh, that's right. Where's my Four Horsemen jingle? Where is it? I can't. Oh, there it is.
The Four Horsemen of the Technocalypse.
Anytime you see the Four Horsemen, it's something special.
That's right. We like to keep our eye on the Four Horsemen of the Technocalypse. For those who are new or may not know, the Four Horsemen of the Technocalypse, as identified by us at this moment, are Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and of course the beloved Bill Gates. Now this is an interesting one. This is RT.com. Again, kind of a flip-floppy, interesting outlet. And
Russian
for those who don't
propaganda.
know, part of what we do here is we kind of track the outlets themselves, because it's valuable if you're going to be in the, if you're going to be exploring the truth of the world. You want to know where the outlets are leaning, how they are perceived, and how to read each outlet, because each outlet will they'll have certain things you got to keep an eye on. Yahoo News is one that I've been enthusiastic about recently. Traditionally a mainstream left-leaning, categorically left-leaning outlet, has recently been doing some incredibly balanced stories on things like Obamagate, where usually, you get a left-leaning outlet talking about Obamagate, how it's all conspiracy theory and there's nothing to see here, slave, keep moving. But Yahoo actually doing a pretty good breakdown of Obamagate that I think was very fair and balanced.
It's possible that during this whole crisis thing and everybody locking down, there's a lot of musical chairs taking place. Some outlets going down, others trying to find ways to stay relevant. And maybe that's why we're seeing the mixed match of different outlets starting to act differently. One of the ones that flipped big time that I know you used to go to a lot, I think, is Drudge. I think Drudge is all like the Drudge Report. Didn't they used to be like
I never was
source
super
of
into
truth
them,
or whatever? Yeah, I know, but it was one of those outlets that seemed to be more truth, quote unquote, truth based. But now they're all progressive, kind of taking over or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's interesting. I've not checked in on Drudge before. They're going left a little bit.
I thought so. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't Drudge. Maybe it was another one. But I'll look it up while you're reading this real quick.
Interesting. Okay. Well, this one is from RT. otherwise known as Russia Today, which has been, sort of scried as the ultimate Russian propaganda, conspiracy theory, crazy outlet. But here we go. We got RT.com talking about this. Headline reads, Italian lawmaker demands Bill Gates be arrested for crimes against humanity. But why? The article reads, an Italian lawmaker has managed to bring the conspiracy blame game to an entirely new level, exercising her parliamentary privilege to blast Bill Gates as a vaccine criminal and globalist tool. Bill Gates, he's such a tool. Bill Gates and his latest anti-coronavirus efforts have been at the center of the wildest theories that explore possible sinister motives behind the billionaire's activities. In arguably the most high-profile outcry last week, an Italian MP for Rome, Sarah Cunha, delivered a speech rarely, if at all, heard in any parliament. In her passionate address, Cunha called upon fellow lawmakers to defy any plans for compulsory vaccination against COVID-19. Such endeavors are being pushed by the corrupt elites, the deep state, she claimed, pointing the finger at Bill Gates as one of the main culprits behind the vaccination drive, if not the pandemic itself. Being a well-known anti-vax activist, Cunha singled out Gates as the villain primarily because of the vaccination campaigns that his foundation has been conducting for years in less developed countries. But while boldly accusing the billionaire of sterilizing millions of women in Africa and paralyzing hundreds of thousands of children in India, she also added a good pinch of GMOs and 5G tech to the dense conspiracy mix of his, quote, sins. The Italian politician also harshly criticized the anti-coronavirus lockdown measures that her country was among the first to impose. According to Cunha, the isolation serves the globalist agenda too, while the Italians have been subjected to, quote, holy inquisition of false science. Quote, it is our children who will lose more, who are raped souls, Cunha said. In this way, the right to school will be granted only with a bracelet to get them used to probation, to get them used to slavery and involuntary treatment. When hecklers attempted to interrupt her, the president of the chamber called to order because in a, quote, free parliament, anyone has the right to express their opinion, and scored a round of applause. Allowed to finish her speech, Cunha raised the stakes even further, pleading with the Italian PM to submit Gates to international justice, unless, of course, Giuseppe Conte is himself part of the global deep state conspiracy. While Bill Gates has often been a target of assorted conspiracy theories in the past, the ongoing coronavirus pandemic has ramped up the interest in his persona. His quest for a vaccine against the COVID-19, COVID-19. As well as a recent Microsoft patent vaguely describing a device that tracks body activity, caused a lot of fuss, despite the fact that Bill Gates has technically stepped down from Microsoft's board and is no longer associated with the corporation. While the sinister patent WO 2020-060606 never mentioned any implants, some deduced the billionaire might be planning to sneakily microchip humanity under the guise of coronavirus vaccination. Ellipses. For reasons. While Cunha's tirade against might sound unprecedented, it's not particularly shocking coming from a fierce anti-vax activist who was expelled from the Five Star Movement Party last year over her dissenting views. She also wouldn't be the first high-profile figure to scapegoat Gates. Got to bring the Russians in here. Oscar-winning director Nikita Mikhalkov made headlines earlier this month after he, just like Cunha, sounded the alarm on national TV about an alleged plot to decimate and control the population of the planet. So this was interesting. First of all, very interesting that, as much as people in the U.S., if a politician mentions anything about anything, they're immediately, sort of labeled as a conspiracy theorist and shunned by many. We actually have an Italian politician standing up in Parliament and calling for Bill Gates to be classified as an international terrorist, basically, which is just a fun thing. It's Italy, they're wild over there, man.
Yeah.
But RT, usually considered the sort of wacky conspiracy theorist outlet, a few slams on conspiracy theories and anti-vaxxers and things like that. Right here in the article, Gons, you're true. They're kind of making kind of turning things around, huh?
Well, yeah, there was a couple quotes that you skipped over, and I don't think they were usually they repeat quotes in the bold text, but these were actually quotes from the lady there. For decades, Gates has been working on depopulation policy and dictatorial control plans on global politics, aiming to obtain the primacy on agriculture, technology, and energy. And then later, the real goal of all of this is total control, absolute domination of human beings, transformed into guinea pigs and slaves, violating sovereignty and free will. And then one more. Next time you receive a phone call from the philanthropist Bill Gates, forward it directly to the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. So that's all the virtue signaling going on from this lady in Parliament. Yeah, that is weird that RT normally is on the side of I don't know. I guess the truther side of the conversation.
They lean truthy.
Yeah.
They're sort of truthers.
They lean
bit.
truthy. I like that.
I mean, back when we first started Canary Cry Radio, RT was wild. I mean, they were the ones who are all in on truther stuff. But now it's kind of weird to have them slamming the truther people.
Yeah, especially in this regard, because you cannot say anything bad about Bill Gates. Some
right.
damage control.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some financial interests there having to be balanced.
Money talks, and I think we're starting to see where you obviously have a faction of people across governments all over the world that are tied in to, you got the United Nations, the World Health Organization, similar types of philanthropists like Bill Gates and others, and those who aren't, but also keep an eye on those who aren't, who are big, financial big shots, so to speak, connected to other types of big money, because I feel like any kind of civil war that was going on behind the scenes is a lot more public now, is all it is. It's kind of always been going on, I feel, but now it's just a lot more virtue signaling happening in public because some of the issues have gone public, like Bill Gates sitting there telling everyone needs to get a vaccine, and Dershowitz saying we're going to drag you to hospitals and plunge needles into you and stuff like that. So there's going to be an obvious response. The controllers, the elite, the top, they have to know that there's going to be a visceral reaction from at least half the population, at the very least, when they start rolling this stuff out there, right? So you got to think that both sides are controlled, like most wars. The bankers fund both sides of war, and I feel like this is kind of what's happening. And of course, if you're any kind of logical person who just wants to live in society in peace and for especially those who want to follow the two basic commandments, love God, love your neighbor as yourself, the people are going to lean towards the more rational side of the argument here of like, we're not going to take some vaccine that some guy that doesn't even vaccinate his own kids is going to give everyone in the world. Of course not, and of course we're not going to agree to be part of the crowd that says force vaccines on everybody. That's logical, but
that's crazy.
But that's the thing. It's that whole narrative. Just beware. The path is narrow, because that side of the argument can also be very much co-opted into either a political movement or some kind of other big movement. And that's why we try to stay. People talk about being balanced, and it's balance on one hand, but it's also just being on the narrow path, because
you got to keep an eye that on both sides there's a manipulation and wolves and tomfoolery,
just a lot of hype,
and it's a little bit of a balance, both reading both sides of the newsy spectrum. That's the only way to get to a sane place in all this. You can't just read everything and believe everything that kind of not just confirms your own ideas and your own beliefs, but escalates them. That's
Right.
that's how things kind of get out of control.
And that's what stinks about this whole thing. And that's why, PSYOPs work, is because the information, like legitimate information and concerns about Bill Gates and the Bill Gates Foundation and the stuff he's been doing in Africa and all this kind of stuff, legit concerns become politicized, weaponized, the other way around. It's like, oh, the information is out there too much. We should co-opt that and make sure that there's some kind of leader behind it. And, we skipped the story earlier because I think you just skipped through the quick updates that we normally have. But Elon Musk tweeted out this thing, I think it was yesterday, as of this recording, take the red pill. Elon Musk, take the red pill in a tweet. And, half the people thought like, he's a Republican now. And other people are like, oh, he's just telling the truth about the Matrix and we live in the simulation, man. And, that kind of thing. But certainly he's signaling one side of the aisle here. And he's another horseman of the technoclips that we've been keeping our eye on.
That's why he's one of them.
Yep. So, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else about that?
No, that's it for this story here.
Yeah, I'm glad we had that little conversation. I'm glad that's where that conversation went because, often, Guns, you and I are a little bit depressed because it's the channels that are super pick a sidey and super, accept every new crazy theory that comes along. Share every new video, whether it's fake or not, and just sensationalize it and blow it up. Those are the channels and the content creators.
They're really making it.
They really have an outrageous number of just the heat on those people is nuts. And, they have a little bit easier time supporting themselves than we do. This is the narrow path, man. It's never easy.
It's not fun.
And with that, I'm going to take a quick break. Nobody go anywhere because we got some great stuff to end the show with. But first of all, I want to give a couple more shout out to Twitch followers. We got Unorthodox Socks. What's up, Unorthodox Socks? Saw you in the chat there. Glad to have you here. And the Juan of a Kind. Love it. Great name. Juan of a Kind. Name. And I gave a shout out to FJV Tank. Thanks for being here. Swamp Lily the Painter. Yeah, only a couple new followers. So thanks, guys, for being here. The numbers are looking great. We lost a little since the middle of the show there over on Twitch. So if a handful of people want to head over to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio, help us get those numbers up. We're still number 2 in talk shows and podcasts. On the list, which I'm very excited about, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe we can get to number 1. And a brand new follower coming in, XV Gamer VX811. What's up, XV Gamer? Thanks for being here, buddy. Happy about that. And everybody knows, if you haven't heard, you can go to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. We're trying to get our average viewership up to 75. We're at 65 over the last 30 days. When we hit 75, we get to unlock a bunch of cool tools. And here's the thing, folks. This is good for the show. This is going to be fun for the show because once we hit those marks, there will be fun tools. We'll be able to let listeners become producers by playing jingles straight from the chat. A bunch of fun stuff. So help us get there. It's really going to bring the show to a whole new level, I think. Super fun. And also, here's the thing, folks, we operate on a value for value basis. What does that mean? It basically means we put out the show for free. And if you get value out of it, you get the opportunity to put some value back into the show. And that looks many different ways. But one of the ways is we so graciously get some financial help from some of our listeners, especially over at patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk, patreon.com/CCNT. And I got a couple new pledges, Guns.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Since last show, we got a brand new pledge. First from Cynthia F. Thank you, Cynthia F. And we got another pledge by EJ Baker. Thank you very much, EJ Baker. So those are our 2 new patrons. Thank you guys so much. And here's the thing: if you want to support the show, here's the thing: if you've listened to 1 episode or 10 episodes or 100 episodes, it's simply, what is it worth to you? What is the show worth to you on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? What is every show worth to you? If it's worth nothing, then whatever, don't support. But if it's worth something, consider helping us out. You can go to patreon.com/CCNT, like I said, or a lot of people don't like Patreon. That's totally cool. We have our website at canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. So you can head over to canarycryradio.com/support. And we got PayPal, we got cryptocurrency, we got one-time donations, all sorts of fun ways to support the show over there. And we want to thank those people as well.
Yes, and thank you for the people that have been supporting us through PayPal. There's many of you who have been doing it for a very long time on the subscription, just the monthly amount. You can pick your amount here and support us monthly that way. And I want to give a few shout outs for people that have been supporting us on the PayPals there. Let me get it up here. Oops. Yes, you'll receive a gong with the name. Benjamin, thank you, Benjamin, for the one-time support. Jackie is a new recurring supporter, so thank you, Jackie.
Ooh, thanks, Jackie.
Also, I don't think I'm going to be able to hit everybody here, but Ingrid, thank you, Ingrid, for a very, very generous support donation, one-time gift through PayPal. Lynn, also a new recurring supporter. Thank you, Lynn. And let's see, who else do I have highlighted here? There's a few people here that are longtime supporters, and we're going to figure out a good way to shout out those people who have been supporting for a long time, and those things are coming. Leslie, one of the top recurring supporters. Thank you, Leslie. And one more, Alice. Thank you, Alice, for your support. And Kyle, Sarah, I'll give you guys a gong as well. Thank you for your ongoing support. And since we're here, I just want to mention that again, as Basil stated, we do have we do accept cryptocurrency, and you can go to canarycryradio.com/crypto to learn some stuff about decentralization and decentralized web. And you can check out. Actually, we should probably embed the interview we just had with Brad Cam from Unstoppable Domains.
You want to drop a link to that or something? You mean embedded on the crypto page?
Yeah, I'll do it in the crypto page here. But also on the page, both the support page and the crypto page, we have our QR code / public addresses, public keys to our Bitcoin and Litecoin, Ethereum, a few others. And I want to give a thank you to Tristan. Thank you, Tristan, because Tristan was one of the first people to give us Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin in support of the show. So thank you. We received those. It's all confirmed on the blockchain. And nice. And also just a quick super chat from The Narrow Path. So thank you, The Narrow Path.
That's right. Now, Gons, get ready with that P.O. Box info, because we had some people asking about it here in the chat.
Okay.
And What in the Hillbilly Heck is asking about what's our PayPal info. If you want to do something by PayPal, you can go to canarycryradio.com/support. Right there, embedded, is all our PayPal stuff. You just choose the options and get into PayPal. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way, our PayPal stuff is canarycryradio@gmail.com. Is that right, Gons?
Yeah, that's it. That's correct.
So if you would just want to send something on PayPal, it's canarycryradio@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
Right.
And then, the P.O. Box, occasionally people will send us checks. It's fun.
Yeah.
You want to put that P.O. Box out there?
Yeah, hold on. We have to figure out a couple things with that. But in the meantime, there is a little thing on the facelikethesun.net page. Let me try to pull it up here and make it a little bigger so you can see it.
Okay.
And there's a snail mail information for snail mail that I can't.
I gotta get the snail mail, buddy.
And here it is. for people watching the video, you can go to, well, you can send letters to, right now, I mean, if you're going to write a check, I don't know, Basil, which one did you want to do? Because there's a few ways you can do this.
Canary Cry Radio. Just put Canary Cry Radio on it and send it to that address, and you'll be all good.
The address is P.O. Box 7383, Laguna Niguel, California, 92607. And again, we'll leave all the links in the description so you guys can come look at that, and you guys can look at the transhuman snail here that I have on the screen as well.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, a bunch of people jumping off of the
they don't like it. They don't like us talking about money.
Mostly the Twitch people jumping off. That's crazy. We lost like 30 Twitch viewers. I'm sorry. We got to support ourselves, man. This is all we got.
Yeah, and we got
kids to feed, folks.
I know. More coming.
So there we go. We just lost a bunch of Twitch viewers. So we need a bunch of you to jump back over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about money, Gons.
Money.
$100 billion. I don't have any money.
That's right. Gons, so funny. You know J.K. Rowling.
The occultist,
the author of the Harry Potter books, amongst others.
Yeah.
Yes, the all sorts of stuff to say about J.K. Rowling's, but she recently tweeted, people are now explaining Bitcoin to me, and honestly, it's blah, blah, blah collectibles, My Little Pony, blah, blah, blah computers, got one of those, blah, blah, blah crypto, sounds creepy, blah, 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 understand the risk. I don't, though. Whoa, okay, whoa, we getting some attitude over here, J.K. Rowling.
I think she admitted somewhere that she was drinking along the way on the weekends or something, so maybe that's part of it too.
Well, you know what she's doing is she's responding to at Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Twitter, this semi-official Bitcoin Twitter account, and they tweeted, "Wizards still need to trust Gringotts Bank. Bitcoin fixes this." Obviously, being a comment on, in the Harry Potter world, Gringotts Bank is the sort of central bank that the Wizards use. And Bitcoin making a comment here about central banking and the trust that you need to have in the system. But Bitcoin solves this problem by creating a trustless environment. You don't need trust because the system takes care of itself. And she said, "I don't think I trust this," and then just went on a tirade about apparently J.K. Rowling just hates Bitcoin so much for some reason.
Yeah. I was going to say, one of the responders was one of the four horsemen of the technocalypse, Elon Musk.
That's right. Elon responding to J.K. Rowling is a real celebrity death match here.
Yeah. So J.K. Rowling said, people are now so we already read that one. And in response, Elon Musk said, pretty much, although massive currency issuance by government central banks is making Bitcoin internet money look solid by comparison. So Elon, the pro crypto, and he tells everybody how much Bitcoin he has, which it's kind of a weird thing to do. I still only own 0.25 Bitcoins, by the way.
I think he's being a funny guy there.
I don't know, but okay, that's just weird to say that. Anyway, so you got Bitcoin becoming mainstream, so to speak, in this crazy time, and stories like this one here. This is the Fed chairman Jerome Powell talking about the printing press, and I wanted to play this 30-second clip for everybody.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally. So we as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally, and we do that by buying treasury bills or bonds or other government guaranteed securities, and that actually increases the money supply. We also print actual currency, and we distribute that through the Federal Reserve banks.
So just pretty much admitting we have the ability to create money. And I mean, it used to be that they're a little bit more subtle about this whole thing of printing money just out of thin air. But now they're just kind of like, well, we have this ability to do so, and we buy the bonds, and basically they're borrowing against the future, our children, and flooding the market with dollars, which is very troubling if you're, if you just think about it logically, supply and demand. If you have a massive amount of supply, each unit of account goes down in value. But of course, that's where the modern monetary theory comes in, where the government says $1 is $1, so everyone agrees that $1 is $1. And
you can just hear him when he's handling that question. You can tell that he's uncomfortable having to say it out loud.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
He knows it's not cool to say, and nobody will really understand it, and also B, nobody likes it, and C, it's not great to do. I mean, you could just tell he's so nervous to have to mention that they digitally print money.
Which is interesting, again, because of the fact that there is this thing happening where people are realizing it, and they're seeing Bitcoin, or they're learning about Bitcoin as an alternative, as a real digital asset, and actually being able to store value. And we won't go through the story here, but there's a Forbes.com article. The U.S. just destroyed a potential dollar revival. Is Bitcoin next? And, the article tries to get into, they're going to try to ban Bitcoin and all this kind of stuff. But also, hey, it might be a way to preserve your wealth for people that are worried that their treasury bonds and whatever kind of money they have in the traditional markets might be falling apart. And, that's not really the most disturbing story we have. Of course, this is stuff we've known for a long time about the finicky nature of money, or at least dollars, fiat money.
That's right. It's all about blockchain, baby.
Blockchain.
And yes, this one, I'm going to let you have this one, but
yeah,
and I'll there's some interesting art to go along with the disturbing story here. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll get you in there. Now, here's the thing, folks. We were talking about back during the first coronavirus relief bill, of which now there's another bigger, better, stronger, faster one coming out. But the first one, they were toying with the idea of the digital dollar. And we're here to help. Gons and I are here to help you understand blockchain, here to help you understand cryptocurrency, not just what it means for you now, but what it might mean for you in the future. And a digital dollar, a cryptocurrency dollar for the government is a dream come true. However, they don't quite know what they're doing. But here's the thing, Forbes.com. So this is the Forbes.com.
The Forbes. This is
headline,
not some crazy outlet.
That's right. This is remember, this is a mainstream outlet. Here we go. Visa applies for digital dollar blockchain patent. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. So those who know Visa, Visa. The Visa. The Visa. Yeah. Here we go. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office published today that Visa has filed a patent application to create digital currency on a centralized computer using blockchain technology.
Centralized.
Yeah, what? Centralized computer using blockchain technology. Some of you are chuckling out there because that's a blatant, what's the word? When there's a word for when things are opposed to each other on their face.
Contradiction.
Contradiction. There you go. This patent applies to digital dollars as well as other central bank digital currencies such as pounds, yen, and euros. And so the physical currency of a central bank anywhere in the world could be digitized. Described as digital fiat currency, the patent was initially filed by Visa on November 8th, 2019, with the USPTO commenting today, quote, "It takes quite a while to publish the filing of a patent." Visa's patent is described as a central entity computer that receives requests that include the serial number and denomination of a physical currency, the creation of digital currency, and the removal of the physical currency from circulation in a fiat currency system is recorded on a blockchain. Quote, Visa.
I was going to try to I was about to hit the blockchain jingle when you said that, but instead I almost hit the melting babies clip, but I'm glad I didn't hit either. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Same thing in this case. The article continues, quote, Visa has a vast global team of inventors and innovators working on cutting-edge payment technologies. Each year, we seek patents for hundreds of new ideas, says Visa spokesperson, quote, while not all patents will result in new products or features, Visa respects intellectual property, and we are actively working to protect our ecosystem, our innovations, and the Visa brand. J. Christopher Giancarlo, senior counsel at Wilkie Farr and Gallagher and former chairman of the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, commented on Visa's patent filed with the USPTO, quote, this confirms when the U.S. does big things like the space program and the internet, there are partnerships between the private and the public sector. This patent filing is evidence. The private sector is very much at work on the future of money. Giancarlo has been very active at the virtual Consensus Distributed conference this week, hosted by CoinDesk. Congress considered the idea of a digital dollar when debating the CARES Act, the third COVID-19 relief package. Although the digital dollar was not included in the final legislation, separate bills have been introduced in both the House and the Senate that looks to legally create a digital dollar at the Federal Reserve, and also a digital dollar wallet at the U.S. Treasury. The digital dollar was suggested to provide economic stimulus benefits and possibly universal basic income to Americans. The full abstract of the patent filed by Visa is described as, quote, techniques are disclosed which include receiving by a central entity computer a request for digital currency. The request includes a serial number and a denomination of a physical currency. The central entity computer generates the digital currency for the denomination and linked to the serial number. Visa's patent goes on to state, quote, the generating includes recording the digital currency on a blockchain. The central entity computer transmits a notification of the generation of the digital currency, and my cat does not like this voice that I'm doing. The central entity computer causes removal of the physical currency from circulation in a fiat currency system. An image of the patent filing is listed below. But there's the key right there. The central entity computer causes removal of the physical currency from circulation in a fiat currency system. So what you have here is they have patented a way to accomplish what governments want to do right now, which is a cashless society, yet they are a private company, obviously Visa being, the biggest money transaction system in the world. But it's all about taking the physical currency out of circulation in that fiat currency system. Now, they're doing a really good job to express that this is specifically fiat digital currency. They're not calling this a cryptocurrency, which is good because they're talking about a centralized computer, which inherently goes against sort of the philosophy of of cryptocurrency and blockchain. But they're using a blockchain for some reason, which in a centralized system is not. It doesn't mean anything special. It doesn't add anything to the system.
Yeah, it's just a better or a more immutable ledger, basically. It's not really.
But if you're Visa, I mean, there's no reason for it in
there's no
this
reason.
case.
Yeah, in this case.
There's no, and people who know a lot, if you're well versed in blockchain, this immediately jumped out as pointless buzzwording.
Yeah.
But the article goes on. The patent lists the application as the Visa International Service Association, which happens to acronym out
Visa.
to Visa. In San Francisco, California, notes the inventors as Simon J. Hurry and Alexander Pierre.
Hurry up.
Maybe some interesting fellows.
Hurry.
Yeah.
Get it done.
The patent further describes the workings of a digital wallet and a blockchain. The digital wallet includes a public and private key pair, while the blockchain is described as including a plurality of blocks, blah, blah, blah. They just kind of describe a blockchain. Yep. Scrolling here, seeing if there's anything important. It kind of just gets into some random technical stuff that doesn't make for very good radio, but I recommend if you're a blockchain person, come check out this article. And then it goes into some of the other blockchain stuff that they're trying to do. So there you go. Coming from Visa, it's almost like a sieve or a filter or something in order to filter out physical currency, get it out of circulation, and turn it into individual digital assets for digital currency, not cryptocurrency. Keep that in mind. It's not cryptocurrency, it's digital currency. But it's pretty whack.
A couple things to mention here. First off, I made a post for Face Like the Sun patrons back on the 20th of March. And I think I made that post. I don't know if I made that post public. I'm trying to pull it up here, but the internet is a little slow and I don't want to throttle the connection too much. But in that post, the title of the post is the dollar about to crypto? But in it, I talk about how the U.S. government is trying to create a digital dollar and how they're going to have a digital dollar wallet that will perhaps digitize your driver's license, your social security number, and you will have this digital wallet attached to it so that they can, easily send stimulus checks or something like that right into your digital wallet that is tied to your social security number and everything else. And this is like a big step in that direction. But the thing that's really, I think, the most telling giveaway here is the artwork, which for whatever reason, I'm having a hard time making it larger here for the viewers on the video. But there's this diagram here from the patent, and it's a kind of a confusing diagram. And again, there's like no point to really have a blockchain with this. It just validates the transactions and blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of senders and users, and it deploys this. But there's a very interesting thing if you're into the world that we're into in terms of looking at conspiracies or secret societies more specifically. There is a symbol in the section of transaction processing network that has these four, cylinders that are all connected. And inside the cylinder is a square and compass, that of the Freemasons, right there inside the diagram of how this digital dollar is going to work. So there's your tell right there if you want to know who's behind the Visa digital dollar project patent here.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's fun.
Right there
it's
in the middle.
Like, yeah, very good.
And it says architect under it.
Wow.
So
yeah.
I mean, that's like blatant virtue signal, well, not virtue signaling necessarily, but signaling to those in the know that hey, this is what you want. Signaling. Yeah, this is what you want to get into if you're a Mason.
Yeah.
I just thought it was very funny.
We better take the hint, Gons.
You want to invest in the Visa?
I'm not a Mason, but if you can read their signals, you know where to make your money, bro.
I know, or where to avoid it so you don't get caught up in the whole network of people there.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, or else you'll end up melting babies into candles.
And melt those babies into candles.
Oh no, we did it.
I did it. I hit the button.
Oh, no.
I couldn't refuse.
Who said it? Somebody in the chat here. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think I lost who it was, but they said that digital wallet is sexist. Why is it not a digital purse?
That's a good point. Somebody can really capitalize on that. A crypto purse.
We gotta start making digital purses, man.
It's all in how you you can have the crypto or digital fanny pack. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
I think it was Bear ICD who said that. Yep. Thanks, Bear ICD.
Excellent.
Or Barrick D or Barricked. I don't know. He's all right. So
we're
anything
apart.
else about that?
No, other than to say,
son of a bee sting.
Yeah, son of a bee sting. All right, let's see what else we got here. You got some memes in here, Gons.
Do you want to do those? I wasn't planning to really do them, but
I don't know what they are. They're yours. What are they?
Well, there's one here. There's a meme about, this was tweeted by James Woods. He's one of the conservatives in Hollywood.
Yeah, he was, what was he? He was the Batman? Was he Batman?
No, he was
Oh
not
no,
Batman. What do you
James Woods was somebody.
He was. He played. Oh gosh, chat, help us out. He was in some Disney movies for sure. He did some voices.
What in the
for,
hillbilly heck is saying? Oh, she says yes, but I thought that was about the James Woods thing. I don't know. He's a guy.
He played Hades, I think, in Little Mermaid
Hercules?
or something.
Hercules had Hades in it.
Oh, maybe he shows up there too. Anyway, he posts this I guess a billboard type thing that says, even on Gilligan's Island, they listened to the professor, not the millionaire.
Oh, cool.
And then James Woods' response, and they never got rescued. Hashtag liberal logic. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, funny.
There's another
funny.
James Woods one. Do you want to describe this next one here?
The socialism versus capitalism.
Yeah.
No, I want to hear you describe it.
Oh, okay. So for those who don't understand, free market
I'm
capitalism.
Looking through all these memes, they're all just like my grandpa's capitalist memes. Cons.
That's why I said we shouldn't do them. That's why I didn't plan on doing them. You know how it goes. I put in all the stuff in the document, and we cut out like half of it because it's just me putting nonsense in there. Okay, so there's a man standing on a board on the side of a cliff, and and it says capitalism above him. And there's another man standing on the other side of the board, presumably off the cliff there, but he's standing on the board, so he's on
being
something.
held up.
He's being held up, and he's pointing a gun at the guy with the capitalist label, and he is labeled. The man with the gun is labeled socialism.
Yeah.
And so
this has been another example of how great it is to explain memes on a podcast. This one's good. It's socialism, and it's a picture of red Chinese soldiers executing people. And then the next panel is democratic socialism, and it's the same picture, but it's just got a bunch of clip art of smiley faces and balloons and colors. Very fun.
Might as well do the last one.
I'm going to look at this last one. Oh, yeah. Camera off, and it's the weekend mask off. It's the video of the reporter. That's the reporter, right? Who is giving Trump a hard time about a mask at the White House media briefing. And she was one of the ones giving him a hard time about not being good at being president, not wearing a mask, and personally killing hundreds of thousands of people. And then she was caught on camera standing up and taking her mask off right when it was done.
Meeting's classic. Over. Let me take my mask off. And go back into real life and not actor mode. And this other one's good too. It's a little boy sitting in the prayer position with a mask on, 2 feet away from the television screen. That says, remain terrified, question nothing, stay home.
Yes.
And that is the mind control system that we're currently living under.
There you go. Well, there you go, Gons. Well, I think that's just about a show. We're a little over 2 hours, I think. I can't really tell. Time is a flat circle, and, it's also an illusion. So hit me up, everybody. Anything else you want to do for the rest of the show to land the plane?
Thank you, everyone, for being here and watching or listening.
Thanks for being here. And remember, because we're doing shows 3 times a week. I know, it's crazy. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, sometime between noon and 5, okay? We got to do sometime. It's
Pacific
all approximate. Time. Yes, Pacific, noon and 5 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be going next show on Wednesday, so make sure to tune in there. And remember to follow us on Twitch. It's only I did the math. I think if people keep watching the Twitch, if we get a little bit more people watching the Twitch, we can hit our goal in about 4 or 5 shows. So, you guys are almost out of the woods on hearing me beg you to follow us on Twitch. But I also want to remind people we're coming up on 200 episodes. This has been great. Yeah, when COVID nonsense started, we were at 150-ish, right? No, 180-ish, right?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Something like that. We've done a bunch of these shows now. So we've really been enjoying our fun live stream time, and we hope you guys have too. It's really fun being able to say hi and bye to everybody. Before we go, let me just check and see if we got any more Twitch followers. If you are if you're brand new watching first time on Twitch, pop it into the chat there so I can give you a shout out. I'm not seeing any new followers since our last break, but I'll keep an eye on the chat there. So thank you, everybody, for following us on Twitch and watching live no matter where you are, on YouTube, on Facebook, on D Live especially. We got the real freedom types over on D Live, so glad you guys are there as well. And remember that we are a value for value system. Usually when shows get going as much as we are, they turn to advertising to support themselves. But here's the problem. Advertising treats you, the listener, like a product that we would sell to a corporation. And that just doesn't sit right with us to sell your attention. You trust us, you listen to us, or maybe you hate us, and that's why you watch, but that's okay too. We still don't feel like rounding you all up like cattle and selling you to a corporation. Now, that's inherently a bad business model because the entire world is built on advertising right now. So we ascribe to the value for value model, which means if you get any value from this show whatsoever, you have the opportunity to give that value back into the show and keep it going. It's really, it's kind of a, Adam Curry over on the No Agenda podcast was describing it as, it's like a tribe. It's like a media tribe. And you guys are our media tribe, and we all got to stick together. And we get together, we do the show, we chat, we like each other, and we even collect in places like canarycry.community, which is a real URL, and you guys should go join there. It's our off Facebook, out of the reptilian clutches of Mark Zuckerberg, little social network forum place. You can go to canarycry.community, meet listeners just like you, have lots of different conversations. It's a good time. Now, it's not all ponies and rainbows, but people, they're not triggered. You won't get put in SJW jail. But you can have a lot of great conversations and really make some personal connections with people just like you. So make sure to go to canarycry.community. And there's a lot of ways to support the show, not just financially. Now, we do need the financial support, and that's why we give shout outs to those very, very generous listeners who help us out. But there's also a lot of other great ways to share the show or to support the show, and that is sharing the show, leaving a rating and a review on iTunes or Stitcher, or any podcatcher, any place you're watching this. Leave a good review, a thumbs up on Facebook, everything like that. And that really helps spread the show. That's a great way to do it. Another great way to do it is to just take an episode or a link and send it to one of your friends or family, because we got to keep spreading the word, and that's the best way to do it. So if you want to support the show, those are a couple great ways to do it, as well as following us on any of our social media stuff. So thank you so much for those of you who do that. And if you do have a story of you sharing an episode with a friend or a family member and they start listening, let us know. We got to tell more stories like that, because it's encouraging when people email us at canarycryradio.com and let us know about how they're waking people up all around the world. So make sure to do that. What am I forgetting, Gonzo?
I just wanted to mention Philippians 4:4 to wrap up the show, because it really does summarize what we're doing here. And Philippians 4:4 says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." And again, I say rejoice. And, we look at all these crazy stories, and it's disturbing and troubling and satanic people and everything else. But really, we're here to just rejoice in the Lord through all of it, because, and googly eyes and shake googly eyes, because, hey, if we're not going to rejoice in the Lord, then what are we doing out here? You know, we're just going to fearmonger each other. And certainly there's a time for being serious about these issues, but also a time to hang out and talk about it and have fun with it. And we want all you guys to join us in that. And thank you for joining us in that. And share it, spread the links with friends and family, because you know, it's a way to talk about these things without having to directly talk to them about it. We'll present it to you guys and to your friends and family, and we'll do it with googly eyes and all, shaky googly eyes.
Yeah, I had some people asking that I need to shake my eyes more. So this is for you guys.
It looks like Cookie Monster, to be honest.
I know. It feels like Cookie Monster. So there you go, folks. Okay, here's the thing, though. Y'all got family and you got friends out there who are still getting their news from the mainstream, or God forbid, their Facebook wall. Here's what you got to do. You got to walk right up to them. You got to look them in the eye. You got to grab them by the cage, and you got to shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah, folks. And remember, we're doing 3 shows a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, sometime between noon. What?
You keep saying 3 shows a day. You've done it multiple times. We do 3 shows a week, not a day.
They know what I'm talking about. We don't need to slow the flow for such minutia gons. 3 shows a week, everybody. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sometimes between noon and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you click the little bell, or you are following us so you can get notifications when we're going live. We usually put out a notifications like a half hour beforehand. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook to get any of that, and that's a great way to do it. So make sure to tune in on Wednesday, folks. But until then, all together now, think outside the cage.
People don't even read their Bible, for heaven's sakes. And melt those babies into candles.
Burn it all.
Shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.